Okay, hi. This video will show you how to play with layers a little bit. So if you want things on top of each other, things in certain places, that's what I'm going to show you. So I've created a little bit of a scene here, and first let's create some things to go on our scene. So I'm going to go back out to my tanks folder, and I'm going to add another folder here. So I've got my ground folder, and now I'm going to create a folder called equipment. And inside my equipment folder, I'm going to put some stuff from my top-down tanks. So I'm going to go to my top-down tanks. I'm going to open up this PNG folder, and in default size, I'm just going to grab out some stuff to play with so I can show you how to do layers. So let me just grab a few things here, and then we'll place them and play around with them a little bit. Let's get some tanks. And so just a reminder, you can just grab what you want and pull it in. Okay, so I've got several things to play with now. So now I can just start dragging them onto my scene. And if you look, when I'm dragging this tree on, it's going underneath my ground layer here, which I don't want. So we got to think about this. Since this is a top-down, think of yourself in space and you're looking down on it. So think of the layers or the levels you're going to have on this. So if I'm looking down, I might see clouds, and below the clouds maybe some helicopters. Below the helicopters I might see some trees, and then below the trees I might see my tanks, and below my tanks I might see my crooked wire and sandbags and that kind of thing. And then I would see the ground level, right? So think about that as you're thinking about how to do your layers. So the fast, easy thing that I can do is come over here into my inspector. I've got that tree selected, and in my order layer, I could change that to a 1, and that kind of does what I want, right? But what happens is if everything's on this default sorting layer, Unity doesn't know like exactly where to put things. It might change it next time. And the other thing is, if I had hundreds of objects up in here and I labeled them all 1 to 100, let's say that I add something that should be in order number 49. Well, that's a pain to renumber all of those. So I'm going to show you how to do sorting layers, which kind of helps with that a little bit. So I'm going to just do a really basic few sorting layers so you get the idea of what to do, and then when you're creating yours, you can create as many sorting layers as you want, which helps organize things a little bit, and they're super easy to manage. So come up here to the right where it says layers and click on edit layers. Okay, and we're just going to add 3 layers. So I'm going to just do space, air, and ground. So 3 very basic layers. You will probably end up having more. I might even have a ground 0 and a ground 1 and an air 1 and things like that. But for now, let's just do that. Okay, so I'm just going to do that, leave it just like that, and pull some more things up and show you how to organize these a little bit. So let me get a tank here. Oh, that tank looks good. It's going under that tree. So what if I put these branches are going on top of that tank? So let's go play around with that a little bit. So first, when you click on an object, right here in your sorting layer, now you can see those that you created. So I'm just going to put my tree on the ground. I'm going to come over here and put that tree also on the ground. And I'm going to put those on the ground and that. So like this one, I actually want to go underneath my tank, and it's not going underneath my tank. So what I could do in that one, have it a 0, but I could make my tank be a 1 inside the ground. But if you see, my tree is also part of that ground, so I can like order these in here if I want to get the layer, the specific layer that I want. Now what I wanted to show you is, let's say, I'm just going to pretend like this is a helicopter. So this one I would want to be in the air, right? I would want it to be above everything if it was a helicopter. So if I make it the air, it's going under the tree. So let me show you why that happens. So let's go back to your layers and go into edit layers. These have to be in a certain order, okay? So we actually want it to go in this order. So your highest layer, your one that the first thing that you see should be the very bottom one. So we're building ground up this way instead of top down this way. So it's a little bit backwards, but now if I do it this way, you can come back over here and see that now my helicopter is above everything and on in the air. So that's a little bit what you can do with your layers. So you can, within your layer sort, your sorting layers, you can then number things inside of those, or you can create just different sorting layers. Like maybe I would have a layer for ground trees and one for ground tanks and one for ground level or something like that. So you can put those things in different layers. So that is what I wanted to show you on layers. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, play around with it, get familiar with how to use those layers, and see what kind of scene you can create.